and welcome to Legal Affairs. My name is Diamond Liddy, and I'm the public defender for the 19th Judicial Circuit. And we are going in the Christmas spirit to be talking about, in my heart, the most Christmassy thing you can do and get involved with on the Treasure Coast for our kids, for the whole community. And that is the Christmas Kids program with WPSL. And we are so blessed to have Carol Wyatt with us. Good morning, Carol.
How are you?
I am great.
Glad to be
I
here.
am great. We were just talking about how great we were, right? Carol, let's start with you first. Tell me what you do. I know you're kind of a pair, Carol and Greg Wyatt with WPSL 1390. But let's back up. Give us your background and Greg's background before you got in, because I know it's very interesting, actually, your background before you started WPSL, the radio show.
Well, we kind of laugh. We were two television reporters who had no previous business experience, but we bought a little radio station, and we've been here and been with the station, now 3 of them, for the last 28 years.
Wow.
So
you came from where?
Los Angeles.
That's
Los
what
Angeles,
I thought.
yes.
It was, and
Yes.
you were, you know.
I was in television news for 20 years, about 12 of them in Los Angeles.
And you were like a reporter on
Yes.
TV, you know, action, that kind of thing. Okay, go ahead.
Field reporter, and then, you know, as you have a little seniority, then they work into specialized segments. So I did healthcare specialty, healthcare news at KNBC, which I enjoyed, you know, tremendously. I particularly enjoy right now watching Dr. Fauci. He spent so much time with us. We did a 3-hour special on HIV during the 80s. We flew to the East Coast.
Oh my goodness! You're talking.
Oh yeah.
You knew him back in the.
Yes. And
how interesting!
He sat through for a longest. We had 5 reporters who'd submitted questions for this, and so he sat through this long, answered all of them, and we sent him a little NBC mug saying, you know, it survived the longest television interview in history. He wrote back the nicest note about, I've sat through some that felt longer.
I bet he has.
I love watching him now. I mean, because he's still as patient and as clear and concise.
Well, it's amazing. He has really gotten us through this pandemic, in my opinion. You know, he has been stalwart and steady and just, you know, told us the real deal. You got to be careful, and of course, sending out the messages now as well. Yes. Oh, that's fascinating. And that was how long ago, Carol?
Oh, it was 1980, maybe 4.
You know, it's funny. I'm glad you bring that up because, you know,
85.
Yeah, his, not credentials, but there have been some people who have doubted his, you know, vision, his recommendations, what he's saying. And, you know, he's been doing this forever. It's not like he just came on the scene when the pandemic started. So, wow, that's great. Now, was Greg doing the same thing?
Well, actually, he was also in television news, but more of a sports specialty.
Oh, I can see him doing that.
Well, the one thing that he did, he left San Diego.
Right.
And for this new uncharted territory to be part of the first startup of this crazy 24-hour sports network, crazy idea in Connecticut, and we became ESPN. So he was one of the first, I think he was there in the first 2 weeks. So yeah, and then he carried through. I think he was there about 7 years. And that he always says about the best job. You know, he did some other things, but he enjoyed, you know, being at ESPN.
Well, so now when did you, and, you know, I look at you and Greg as iconic. I mean, you've been in this community forever. No, actually, seriously. And when you think of the Christmas Kids program, you think of the two of you and what you've done for the community and everything. But some people don't know about Greg and Carol Wyatt. So you got married when? Let's go.
Oh, 48 years ago.
Oh, is that all?
But we met at the NBC station in Tucson, Arizona, KVOA, home of Savannah Guthrie, much later.
Right.
Much later. But he was a producer, and I came in as a reporter. And and then he was also doing sports.
So,
And about a year later, we were married.
oh my goodness. Okay. So, great. So you did that, got married, and then again, how many years ago did you come here?
In 1993.
Wow.
So, yes.
A long time. Wow, that's terrific. And you're the first radio station you purchased was
WPSL.
Okay. And you say now you have two others.
Well, WSTU we added, and that's 1450 in Stewart.
Right.
WPSL is 1590 in Port St. Lucie, and then we added a Spanish station, La Gigante, 1330. I was a language major in college, so that's the one I really enjoy working with.
Wow.
I don't do any air work because I'm not a native speaker, but I enjoy.
Oh, that's great. And I'm sorry, I think I said 1390 when we first started, so it's 1590 WPSL. Well, let's get to the meat of the matter.
Okay.
You are here because it's Christmas time, and despite all the things that have happened, and there's been a lot, we are in the Christmas spirit. You are in the Christmas spirit, and despite all the challenges, you and Greg have continued to do the Christmas Kids program despite the hurdles.
Well, first of all, we don't do it alone. There are a lot of volunteers, a lot of people who help, and a lot of people who contributed ideas on streamlining the process.
Right.
I woke up, it must have been April, May, about 5 o'clock in the morning, and thought, everything we do with the Christmas Kids has to be different this year.
Right.
Because, as you know, we would invite a school chorale of singers to come to your office, and you would gather all your staff together, and we'd all eat cookies, and then we'd have contributions to the Christmas Kids. We also would have St. Lucie County Community Services would have people come into their lobby and sign up to be in the Christmas Kids program. We had volunteers who packed all the bags, and we gave them then to people, to the families who came in.
Right.
All of that is human contact.
Yeah.
And, Community Services said, well, we have an online registration form we're using with another group. We think it would work for you. We said, okay. And then what about a car line in the distribution? How about if you drop them into the trunk rather than have people get out of their cars and come in?
Oh, my gosh,
Because
yes.
every family has a number that has, their number of children and ages and gender. So it's a toy bag packed for their family. That'll be dropped into the trunk. There's a wonderful couple who kind of runs the toy warehouse over in the logistics center, Barbara and Don Macklem. They have organized everything, and they suggested, let's call the store where we buy most of this and say if they can, either we can order it, they can have it where we pick it up in boxes. We're not going through. We had these wonderful brigades of going through Walmart with 20 or 30 shopping carts and volunteers and clearing shelves. And we had a lot of fun doing it. But we figured, okay, our volunteers we have to protect too, because most of us are in that category that are advised to be careful.
Well, and let's back up. This has been going on for how many years?
Well, the Christmas Kids began back in 1946.
Okay.
Back when there was only one radio station on the whole Treasure Coast. It was in Fort Pierce. And there was a little girl, I believe her name was Reba Nell. And she was very ill at the holidays. And people put out a broadcast, an appeal to help the family, mostly with toys for Reba Nell, but other things for the family. This was an effort that grew. The response was tremendous from the residents of Fort Pierce. So organizations got involved. Years later, I've heard from the Kiwanis group that they helped deliver toys from the Fort Pierce Police Department.
Right.
They helped deliver toys and collect them. And along the way, Community Services became involved.
And for the viewers who don't know, what is Community Services?
It's a branch of St. Lucie County.
Right.
And in the old days, even when we first became involved, it was called the Welfare Department.
Right.
But it administers now, a lot of the community aid programs where, if you need something, if you need housing assistance, you need, basically help with some of the food programs, And the good thing about community services being involved is some of these families need more than toys.
Yeah.
I mean, it puts them in touch with the services that can help them.
Well, so the Christmas Kids, the concept is tremendous, but it's a year-round concept, and people need to know that, and that's the message that we hope to get out today. Yes, we need your help, and we'll get to where they can send their paper money or whatever, their toys in a minute. But that we need them now, people now, and help. But all through the years, the Christmas Kids program helps kids with school supplies, with swim lessons if they don't know how to swim, with camp, with so it's a year-round.
Well, it is, and a lot of this comes from the lady who was president of the Christmas Kids, Pauline Clutter.
Yes,
for 20-some years.
Right.
And one of the things, she never learned to swim, and it was always, very kind of extra painful when she heard about a child drowning. So one of the things, when the Christmas Kids had some money left to them in someone's very generous will, we were able to start kind of an extra program in the summertime.
Right.
A lot of times it was camps, but it really narrowed down to swimming. And we now send about 125 children every summer, except this year, through the county pools classes. They do a water safety class. It's not designed to make them champion swimmers in 6 weeks, but they learn water safety, to roll over, to float, how to get to the side, to not be afraid of the water. Because, there are more than pools here. There are children who have accidents in canals, in the ocean. There's just a lot of water safety that's important. And she was very, very dedicated to that. Last year, the head of community services called and said, toys are nice. And we will participate in the toy program.
Right.
But what we really see and what we really need from families is back to school clothing.
Wow.
Not supplies, but clothing.
Okay.
And can you take maybe half of your toy budget and put it into back to school clothes?
Wow.
And we said, sure. So what we did was allocate, we gave parents $100 per child budget. And then we met them at the store, and they picked out, they know what their child needs, what size they need, and sometimes the children came along, and then we would, check out with them, and that we really had, some of the contact with the families, and to kind of see how appreciative the children were, and it really made you realize that yes, toys are nice, and that is the Christmas Kids.
Yeah.
But it's important for a 6-year-old to feel good about going to school.
And to not feel like when everybody else has brand new shirts and shorts on, they're the only ones that don't. Oh, with Life Builders, of course, we do a big push on that too, and it's just amazing. But the important thing with your charity, and that the viewers need to know when they're donating toys or money or whatever, is that and we don't want to look at people who ask for help with a jaundiced eye, but there are people, a very, very small percentage, that may say, well, give me $100 and I'll go buy those school clothes. And that doesn't happen. And there are people in the community that don't give if they think you're going to hand them a $100 gift card, because, well, where is that money going to go? And it's good to hear that you don't hand them a $100 gift card.
No.
You go with them, you pick out the clothes, it's purchased right there, and they're good to go.
Yeah, we know they've walked away with school clothing for their children.
Exactly.
Yes.
And let's talk about, for those who are not aware of how the Christmas Kids works and this season that's so beautiful for you and us. You have how many days were you used to before this year? And let's talk about pre-COVID Christmas Kids.
Mm-hmm.
You you have how many businesses that participate or offices?
At least 20. At least 20 that will host a program.
Right.
And the condition is there has to be a donation to the Christmas Kids.
Right. There
First
has to be a
come.
donation, and there usually when you did this, wherever it was hosted, as you mentioned earlier, the choral group from LPA would come and sing, and the band from John Carroll High School or whatever would come and play Christmas, and then we'd talk and everything, have cookies, have fun, and then of course you took away some loot, hopefully, from the businesses.
Yes, toys from your office, yes.
Yeah.
Whole carload of toys.
So this year, because of COVID, you're doing it differently, and so tell me what the COVID Christmas Kids program looks like this year.
Well, let's see. We're in our studio for starters. We don't go out to businesses. They don't. A lot of businesses can't have that many people coming in. So it's in the studio, and we're not quite this far apart, but we're close.
Right.
We try to stay apart. The people, we had a bank on today. They kept the masks on as they were sitting there talking. And so we also can have people on Zoom, can have people come in, as we've all learned, Skype and Zoom, and do all these things as well, to make donations through the show. So that has become the way to have our businesses and our sponsors recognized, but without exposing that many people and without having children come in. What WLX, what the school district has been wonderful to do is that they have given us recordings of previous programs. I think there's even one from your office where we have the school groups that maybe performed last year. But hey, it's wonderful. It's Lincoln Park Academy. And
right. So we can play that when you have the show at the
so
studio.
That's part of it too. And we had let's see, Village Green Elementary started us off with Feliz Navidad. I love it.
Oh God! And it's every morning
from 9 to 9:30.
Right.
And we're going 2 weeks this year. Normally we go 4 weeks. This time 2 weeks. And the wonderful thing is that all of our sponsors have said, if you're doing the toys this year, we're in. We'll help you. We'll contribute. And yes, we want to do a show.
And for people who are watching this show who want to get involved, they can tune in at that time for the next 2 weeks. And do you have the call-in capability to donate?
We do. I mean, the Christmas Kids also have a little donate button on their website if you'd like to do that. we can make it easy.
Got it.
WPSLChristmasKids.com.
Oh, God. Okay. No, this is great. And it's great, too, that the community needs to know that St. Lucie County government has always supported and...
Well, in many ways.
Right.
Yes. I mean, it's very valuable for community services to do the screening of the families. And I mean,
well, that's something else. Let's talk about that, the screening.
And they have, income criteria that people, have to meet either. And in previous years, I think they submitted some documentation. What we've had to do this year is go to the online but still they know what questions to ask.
Yeah.
I mean, we have people call the radio station, and I mean, you want to help everybody, but perhaps they know to ask a question that maybe eliminates that person,
because you can't help everybody,
or they spot someone who has signed up at 2 or 3 programs. Yeah. So it's a wonderful partnership with them.
Right.
And I think, they enjoy doing something, for the people that they work with.
Right.
The families that come in.
Well, so how many families are you going to help this year?
Well, it's 744 children. I think that divides up into about 300 families.
Wow.
Yeah.
Which is huge. And is that the normal number, Carol?
Well, we cut it in half last year because we did half the budget for school clothes. So went from 1,000 we'd been doing for several years down to 500.
Right.
This year, Community Services said, well, we already know there are 2 other programs that are totally filled. They
Right.
have cut off registrations.
Right.
So can you do more? And we said, well, yeah, we can.
Sure.
So we back up to 744. And
Wow.
if needed, we can do a little more.
No, of course. Now that it's so. Let's talk about for a moment. If someone wants to help, volunteer, like you're saying, put the toys in the trunk when they go through the line, or man the phones, or check the website. Who do they call?
Well, they can call me. Actually, best reached at the radio station,
Right.
WPSL. And we have packing days. The first 2 Saturdays
Right.
of December are always the packing days.
Right.
The other help from the county is that they have allowed us to rent a small space, and I say rent because there has to be $1. You know the legalities of this. Yes, right. We pay $1, and they give us a corner of the logistics center.
Oh, I gotcha.
And
on
so
US 1.
we
Yeah.
can bring in, our toys as they're donated and as we purchase them. Have a little bit of space we set up this toy warehouse, and that again is the Macklins. And we set up 2-year-old girls, and we'll start at infant table, and we have
Right.
tables going around the room. 2-year-old boys and up to the 12-year-olds, and all the sporting goods. So it's a big Santa's warehouse. And then we have volunteers that come in on the Saturday mornings.
Right.
And they'll get a bag that has a family profile, 7-year-old girl, 12-year-old boy, and they go around and get 3 new toys each and put them in the bag. And then those are then placed in order so we can find them the morning
Right,
of the
right.
giveaway, the 15th. And then that's when we'll put them in the car trunks.
So if someone wants to help physically, they call the station, ask to talk to you, Greg, whoever, and say, I'd like to help, where do I sign up?
They can certainly do that, yes.
And now what if they can donate online with the button on the website, and I guess that's WPSL.com or
Well, yeah, actually, if you come to the station's website, there's a Christmas Kids logo.
Okay,
That will get you to the
okay.
same place, yes.
Okay.
Or the WPSLChristmasKids.com.
Or if they want to send their money or whatever, send it to the station?
Well, yes, and then we'll get it to our treasurer, is Pat Dunn.
Right.
And we will get it to her.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's, and we don't want to get, all mushy and, whatever, because it's been so many years, but we've talked about it before. For people who have been in Fort Pierce for most of their lives, which would be me, we've talked about the Christmas Kids show and being downtown in the old J.C. Penney building. Oh my God, 35 years ago, 40 years ago, and Pauline was still alive, and of course she didn't. Was it her that played the guitar, or somebody else would play the guitar?
Mimi.
Mimi Brown would play the guitar.
Yes, play the guitar.
And it was, I remember those days, and of course how you evolved. But having, the Public Defender's Office always participates and has a show, and we're going to do ours tomorrow. But you always ask us, or me, what was the most wonderful Christmas memory you've ever had or can remember recently? You always ask that question, either of me or the guest or whatever. And I want to ask you, because we've got the kids singing in my office is there raising their hand, and there's bells going off and everything. So tell me about yours.
Oh, boy. Now I realize why people kind of stare at me and go, well, I can't pick one.
Yeah, well, yeah.
It's harder than
One
it
of them.
sounds.
One of the best.
Wow. I remember a lot of Christmases. My mother was very into decorations.
Right.
I still have things in my house that she made. She was very kind of artsy, craftsy, and so everything was decorated. And also, she was into making, Christmas cookies and everything. So it was always very festive. I mean, rather than one standing out, it was just always the season that she was very into it, and we were.
Right.
And so we enjoyed that. Probably the one that stands out is our grandkids lived here. they're now in college, but when they were little, they lived,
Right.
lived here in Florida. And getting bicycles and tricycles and putting them together, and that was the very, very special time.
Oh yeah, or
Could
the
plan for that.
yeah the slide or whatever in the bed. I remember. It's funny. I don't think I ever talked about this on the show, but the first playground you get for your child.
Yes.
And I remember my husband, we put it in the backyard, and the railroad ties,
Yeah.
this was going to be assembled once Blaze went to sleep, of course. So, which we're talking about, nobody slept because we were out there with flashlights, and, I'm just supervising and helping Tom put stuff together in the dark. But, he had to at least get the railroad ties and the sand in there before the playground showed up. And of course, Blaze said, "Why? What is that, Daddy? What are the railroad ties in the sand?" And he hadn't even thought about it. And he just, bam, he said, "Well, that's Santa's landing pad for the reindeer when he shows up."
Quick thinking.
Yes, it was fabulous. And that's where he's going to land. And we got to have a nice spot and a safe spot for him and everything. And so it was wonderful. And sure enough, Christmas morning, the playground was assembled after 8-9 hours and many bad words and causing, calling inanimate objects terrible names, but it was there. It was there.
And the package said it would be just 20 minutes, right?
Right. Of course. So no, this is wonderful. And is there a phone? What is WPSL's phone number, Carol? Too, I have
340-1590.
So it's just like the station.
772-340-1590.
Now, does WSTU and your Spanish station, do they play the programs too, or
Actually,
how does that work?
No. The Community Services does the enrollment flyer in both English and Spanish.
Okay.
So I know our host on our Spanish station, publicizes you can sign up.
Oh, I got you.
For
Okay.
for the program. We have to be a little bit careful. This is St. Lucie County Community Services.
Right.
So Martin County has different enrollment programs, and one of the requirements of St. Lucie County Community Services is that you live somewhere in St. Lucie County. So we try not to take it beyond WPSL.
Gotcha. Just real quick, and we're almost out of time. The Spanish station, that's just kind of the WPSL in Spanish?
Well, I joke that they do everything, but they do it all in Spanish. So there's a morning show host.
I got you. Okay,
and
that's what I...
There's a version of Swap Shop that it's funny. It almost sounds the same, but yeah, they do that in Spanish. And then they have a lot of talk shows and more music.
Oh, God. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know about that. But anyway, Carol, thank you. Merry Christmas, and keep doing great things.
We'll certainly thank you for supporting the Christmas kids all these years. Thank you.
Always.
And Merry Christmas.